welcome to Continuity 360. I'm Kira.
And I'm Michael, and this is the podcast where we talk about movie, television, nerd culture, conventions, and comics and video games.
And welcome to episode 2 of Continuity 360. First on the list, we're going to cover 2 episodes of The Walking Dead.
That's right, 2 episodes. The first one we'll talk about is episode 606, Always Accountable, and the episode from last week, episode 607, Heads Up.
And Always Accountable was a great name for that because they were not being accountable at all for the content in that episode.
We both feel, I think, that no one was held accountable and somebody should.
Nothing happened.
Right, nothing happened. Nothing in the storyline happened.
Nope.
Nothing in terms of character development happened. Nothing. My thing is nothing new was brought to the stage, and
unless those characters that they saved come back,
right,
then maybe something happened. But other than that, literally nothing happened. Abraham, the way he talked during that whole episode,
it was written like an English major who was trying to do poems and talking about the former and the latter and all these meanings behind his choice to sleep or to stand guard. If what we were supposed to get out of that episode was that Abraham is at a messed up life, that you can't trust people.
I already knew that.
Yeah, it's like welcome to the zombie apocalypse.
Mm-hmm. I also had sensed no chemistry between him and what's her name.
Yeah, it was very forced.
Yeah.
It was basically the chemistry between those two characters was like I'd say an OkCupid date gone hideously and terribly wrong.
So 99% of them.
Right. So that covers that one. I think we've said enough about it.
Yeah, it does. There's nothing else to contribute. But then they stepped it up. For the next one.
Right, and that's episode 607, which is Heads Up. And that's where we see this character that everyone wanted to know what happened to.
Spoiler alert, stop watching now if you haven't seen it. Glenn is alive. Surprise, surprise.
Apparently he is, and I actually missed the first 10 minutes of the episode, and I didn't want to wait until
Okay, I was going to say epic, but it wasn't epic. He crawled out from under Nicholas's body, under the dumpster, and then waited there for a day and a night, and then crawled back out.
And I actually want to say that when that episode aired where everyone thought that Glenn was dead, I called it. I have a Facebook post.
In a dumpster, to be specific.
Well,
and he wasn't
I do have a public post on Facebook that shows that I claimed that I believed he was still alive.
And that's legally acceptable in court as like
it is acceptable. In this court, it's acceptable all the time.
All right. So so that he's alive. Mm-hmm. He meets Enid.
Right.
Who is being a typical teenager and not listening, not
doing. And I think he handled it with an incredible amount of patience.
Yeah, he didn't leave her there, which is what I would have done.
Right. It's like, I don't want to go back. I'm going to be emo.
Okay.
Deuces.
Like you said, I'm not your friend, so I don't have any obligation to you.
So if I had to retitle episode 607, Heads Up, the last episode of Walking Dead, I would call it Young People Doing Dumb Things in Zombie Apocalypse.
That's fair, because
they all do dumb things. So, okay, Enid, I got it. Your life is tough. And whatever,
so everybody else's.
Yeah, I can't even remember because I think that there was an episode where they gave her backstory.
Slightly. Her parents died in the car.
It's like, well, you know what? Carl's mom died in childbirth and he killed the soon-to-be zombie state of her. And then like his father walked in on his mom having been devoured entirely by a zombie.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's like, I just feel like, that was just a little bit. So my issue is, the Enid storyline. I mean, again, we're going back to trying to introduce these themes of the zombie apocalypse being terrible. And it's like, I think that after 5 years of the show, I think we got it.
If we don't have it by now, my God.
So we have Enid, and then we have Spencer also.
Who, again, should have just died. He should have just fallen and died.
Yeah, and then there was just the other kid.
The one that's going to shoot Carl.
Right. So it's just
because of a girlfriend issue? Really?
Yeah, and when you're thinking about girlfriends that you're going to fight over, much less commit a capital crime, I don't know that Enid is the one that I would go to bat for. I mean.
That is so fair.
I do not advocate any crime at all.
I don't either. Oh, okay. And also, No, also, in that episode, there was one line that drove me nuts. Maggie is talking to Rick up on the top thing, right? And she's like, well, I've noticed that Judith has started looking like Laurie.
Well, I also wouldn't want to even like bring up anything that could be remotely related to the fact that Lori and Shane were sleeping with each other, and in the current lack of, facilities to do DNA testing, she could have just said, oh, the babies Judith's starting to look a lot like Shane. Like, I think that would have been a great plot twist. So.
Yep. Nope.
But one thing that I looked up, and looking at Wikipedia's listing of all of the different episodes, is that sometimes we've kind of said like, well, this episode was great, but this episode seemed off or didn't seem as good. And so it's interesting that I found out that there are literally about 10 different directors and about 7 different writers in this current season of Walking Dead. In fact, I don't know if any director was used more than once in the current season. So that kind of seems to account for some of the disjointedness from episode to episode.
And there's definitely pros and cons to that because you get differing points of view, you get, to mix it up with the audience, but you don't get any consistency that the audience might want. So that could explain why it sometimes seems disjointed on Walking Dead.
And you had told me earlier today that you thought that you said season 5
I like season 5.
Was your favorite one, which is the last season.
Yeah.
And interestingly, in season 5, Greg Nicotero had actually directed 4 of those episodes, where in the current season, to date, he has actually only directed 1. So that might account for some of that.
All right, now on to Resident Evil 6. It has a new movie coming out. It's been 4 years since the last one. And this one's called Resident Evil 6, The Final Battle. Yes, The Final Battle. And again, as always, starring Mila Jovovich. And also this time we have Ali Larder again. And we also have Sean Roberts and Ian Glenn, who played the scientist. So he's coming back, and I like him a lot. So this new one, The Final Battle, is going to be written and directed by Paul Anderson, who also did the first one. And it started filming in August, and it's going to be released in January 2017. And judging by the trailer that's out on YouTube, it looks like everything has gone to hell. There are monsters flying all around. There's an epic scene at the White House and all this, everything. The world is in terror and Alice has to save it, sort of thing. But the fun part about this one is Mila Jovovich put out an image of herself in old makeup. So she's like 85 years old, which is a really fun twist, I think. Because
so what you're saying is this is Mila Jovovich. She's put on very old person makeup, like what we say, 80,
85,
70,
75, something like that. Like,
so
really, yeah.
The entire movie is going to be about her retiring and living in an assisted living home in Raccoon City.
Yeah, that'd be a little... So apparently it's going to be, for most of the movie, she's going to be older. Or one of her, I guess, because she's a clone. So maybe there's an older clone. Maybe the original Alice comes back, which would be kind of fun. I don't know if she still exists. But yeah. But okay, super fun fact. Paul Anderson is married to Mila Jovovich. They met on the first Resident Evil movie.
Is that still serious? Or are they still...
Unfortunately, they are still married.
Just
she
asking.
just had her second kid. So she
so
had
then
her...
it is serious?
Gotta ask her. She had her second child right before filming, so they had to make a baby easy access outfit for her. So when you watch the movie, whatever outfit she's in has a super easy flap access for the baby, which I thought that was so cool. It's like wardrobe. I want an easy access flap on my costume. Make it happen. Okay. I just thought that was really neat.
I'm very excited for the new Resident Evil film because I have to say that the last one, I liked it. I watch all of them, and I also especially like the animated ones as well.
Yeah.
But I was looking for something more, and maybe this film will have exactly that for us. So
yeah, I hope so. I mean, Paul Anderson did do the last one too. So he did a great one and a not so great one. So we'll see with this new one. And they came out with the very first Wonder Woman movie still image. So it's Gal Gadot, and I'm not going to go into all of the stuff that people think is wrong with her. I'll just say I think she's kicking ass with the images she's posting on YouTube or on her Facebook about how much she's exercising to get into the role. A lot of people were saying she was too skinny. So she's been doing a kick-ass job getting herself in shape. Okay, I can't help it, but I will complain. She doesn't have blue eyes. They gave Wonder Woman brown eyes, which as a brown-eyed girl, I don't mind, but the eyes are iconic.
So you feel like that aspect is kind of true to how she was depicted in cartoon and comics and
every time she's always had blue eyes.
Okay.
And so I was like, whoa, that's an interesting choice, giving her brown eyes. I mean, it matches what she really looks like, but don't know, the blue eyes were striking. Anyway, so they released the first image, and it's her in a cloak, and we'll throw it up there for you right now. And she has her iconic bracelets on, and I'm really excited because it has a very, ancient Greek look to it, which is a huge part of the history of that movie. She's Greek, and it involves all the Greek gods and goddesses and all that stuff. So, yeah, I like the first image that they posted, and I'm excited for the movie.
Awesome. And that brings us next to the Chronicles of Riddick, which is a favorite of yours. Yes. I remember seeing the films, and the interesting thing is I wasn't crazy about the first film.
Pitch Black? You didn't like Pitch Black?
Yeah, well, and a friend of mine, I was younger at the time, and a friend of mine just pointed out, well, you just didn't like it because it didn't have a happy ending where the good guy wins.
Exactly. That's why I liked it.
Yeah,
so it was great.
And at the time I couldn't recognize that about myself, so I was like, well, shut up, But
it was too realistic for you.
Yeah,
it was great. I love that ending. It's like, yeah, that's how it would end in real life. New movie called Furia, starring Vin Diesel, of course, and written and directed by David Twohy. I don't know how to pronounce it, but the same guy who did all the other ones. But then even more exciting, a spin-off TV show called Merc City. And it's going to be following the Mercs and the Bounty Hunters from that universe. Which I think is a very cool idea.
Yeah, because when you say bounty hunter, I have two thoughts. One is obviously, who do you think I'm thinking of?
Boba Fett.
Right, obviously the most well-known bounty hunter ever. My other thought is Katherine Heigl in the movie One for the Money.
Which I told him like an hour ago. He was like, what's that movie called?
The romantic comedy with Gerard Butler.
He didn't even
where
know it was
she
a book.
plays a Jersey woman who's tough as nails and chases down people who skip bail in heels. So
let's just say my mom has all of those books.
Well, and so if this new show that you're talking about bounty hunters and mercenaries is anything like the Katherine Heigl movie, One for the Money,
sign me up.
I would totally watch it.
I'm hoping it's a little grittier, a little
Okay,
darker.
all right. Well, I don't know that you get grittier than Jersey.
A little better
so,
acted.
I mean, but okay. What?
Yeah. But no, it'll be exciting. And what did you say about Firefly?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're going to do a show about bounty hunters, why not just bring back Firefly? I think everyone would love that. So, don't invent any more new shows on sci-fi or anything else involving bounty hunters or mercenaries. Just bring back the one that already did that we know and love.
Yeah, that's fair.
So hopefully Nathan Fillion is watching and will respond to my tweets.
No.
So, okay. But so my point is that bounty hunter and mercenaries in the future is it's not a new device. So dark matter is essentially the same thing. Firefly, Serenity, bounty hunters in space. That's kind of where a lot of futuristic sci-fi shows go. Also Defiance, a 3-season television show, it kind of has that feel where there are mercenaries and bounty hunters in that world. So hopefully this brings something new to the table.
And now it's time for the hypothetical question number 1. And this is building off of the Merc City that we just talked about. Would you rather be a bounty hunter or a mercenary?
And I think it's important for our audience that we explain. So a bounty hunter is someone who goes out and retrieves someone who's a fugitive and brings them back and gets some large sum of money. Whereas a mercenary is essentially like a kind of soldier for hire who might work for a corporation, a company.
Much more job security.
Right. So, there's some differences there.
Yes.
So I don't know. I guess when I think about those two different types of career paths, mercenary or bounty hunter.
Okay, wait, let's build it up a little bit. Okay, so you are in a futuristic universe, like Chronicles of Riddick or Firefly.
Okay.
And you get out of high school.
Those are drastically different environments, by the way.
Not really, actually.
Chronicles of Riddick, you're on a predominantly planet that is eternally night. That has monsters that can devour you.
One of the movies, Pitch Black.
Okay.
You have to watch the rest of them.
No, but the other ones had monsters that came out of in the.
Yeah, but it was more human that they had to worry about at that point.
Whereas Firefly, the most dangerous thing that happens is Mal's sarcasm.
A good kind of dangerous. But okay, so anyway,
Actually, that's going to be my new OkCupid title. A good kind of dangerous.
Yeah, but
Sarcasm
you're not Mal.
similar to Nathan
You gotta be
Fillion.
Mal, and then you can say
Okay,
that.
all right.
Okay, so you get out of high school and you're like, okay, I'm not gonna go to college. I'm gonna join with either the bounty hunter, the ship, or the corporation that's asking me to go after this guy, or the ship just came up and said, join my team and fight for me for money. Mm-hmm. Which one? Are you a loner, or do you go with a group?
So I think that in that fictional universe,
Yes.
I would say that the life that probably would be the most adventurous, I think would be being the bounty hunter. You know, to be the Malcolm Reynolds, to be the Boba Fett. You know, I think that would be the most exciting. I'm a little bit concerned about retirement benefits and a healthcare plan.
Non-existent.
Right. No, right. Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
do mercs really? Well, I guess you could take care of each other, sort of thing.
No, but I mean, if you were a mercenary for like a company, like think about it. Technically speaking,
Oh, true.
Umbrella Corporation, all those people are mercenaries.
Yeah, that's
you know,
true.
so it's like, so I'm pretty sure they've got a good pension plan.
Although, man, you are dying fast. You are dying.
Yeah, but
fast.
I would be like a mercenary if I was going to be a mercenary for like Umbrella Corporation.
Yeah.
it would be in like some far flung like
like
forgotten-
Ohio little town.
Yeah. Like maybe I don't know, like Fargo. I feel like there's like nothing happening.
North Dakota, something like that. Yeah.
So what about you? If you had to choose between being a mercenary or a bounty hunter in the science fiction future, which one would you choose?
I would start out mercenary,
Okay.
and because I would want to learn from other
Right.
people and sort
Acquire
of,
skill set.
yes, acquire a skill set,
have references.
yeah, have
is
friends,
important.
have contacts and stuff, and then I would probably go out and break out into bounty hunting once I knew what I was doing.
And start your own business.
Yeah, get my own ship. Totally, that's what I would do.
All the mercenaries in Avatar died.
Fun fact.
Oh, video games.
Yes, video games this week. Tomb Raider. I already finished it. It was so good, but it's not an open world. Like Fallout 4 is an open world. Tomb Raider is very good at guiding you through its world. It gives you some open spaces, but they're still confined, kind of thing.
So there's some limits. There's some
Yeah.
boundaries. so-
Which makes it much faster to get through.
Right.
This game has the strongest female character I've played, other than my own characters that I've created. But this is the game's character, and she's a kick-ass female who's, finding her way in the world. So that part of it is great. The gameplay, the combat and the action is so intuitive this time. It's sometimes you get games where you're like pressing buttons and nothing's happening the way you want it to. This game is very good at, when you duck, and then you
So how
hit
does
the
it
trigger and
compare
it goes.
though to Fallout 4?
I like
the
it better.
gameplay?
I actually,
Really?
I
Okay,
like it
interesting.
much better. It's much more intuitive. It flows better, I guess you could say. And I love it has cutscenes where you have to still push buttons during that cutscene, and if you don't, you die.
Oh, interesting. So you can't just like ignore it.
Right? You can't just watch it,
okay.
go to the bathroom, get a drink. Yeah, you gotta like press Y. You have 2 seconds to press Y, otherwise you die. Otherwise the guy skewers you through the neck. That happens a lot.
And again, to reiterate to our audience, so my last video game platform I bought about 12 years ago, PlayStation 2.
But we just heard the good news about PlayStation 2.
What's the good news?
It's being retrofitted for PlayStation 4, all of the games, right?
Next up, PlayStation 2. No, I think that's not actually, it's the reverse.
Well,
The PlayStation 2 games are going to be retrofitted for PlayStation 4.
Right, that's what I meant.
Yeah, but I still don't have a PlayStation 4.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Well, you're halfway there.
No, I'm none of the way there because I don't have a PlayStation 4.
You have PlayStation 2 games, so
But
you're halfway there. But anyway.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just like the interesting thing for me is, again, I love video games. I love the stories behind it, like Resident Evil.
Yeah.
I love the whole universe. I have a Resident Evil decal on my car. I have it on my computer. But I love the stories, but I just don't know that much about the game. So, I mean, for me, who's kind of a noob, what's interesting to me is that you have some games where the gameplay may not be as good, but the options of what you can do in that universe is pretty free. And then you have other games where the controls are a lot better, like the gaming is a lot better. However, your world is much more constrained. So I wonder if is there a game where it's both, great gameplay and great free play?
No, because that's like a paradox, like free and constrained at the same time. That'd be kind of difficult. I mean, Tomb Raider tries it because it has points where you are literally guided through you know, the one pathway, and then it opens up into an area that you have an unlimited time in, and you can do whatever you want. But I guess that's as close as you can get. I also liked this game because it was almost like somebody had been in my brain and been like, when is she going to get tired of fighting people and want to go back to the story? They were very good at timing it, breaking it up, making sure you didn't get bored. You weren't just killing people for too long. You weren't just watching stories for too long. It was very good in that way, and great voice acting. Jacob, the character Jacob, was voiced excellently. So was Lara Croft. Yeah.
And do you know who does the voices for them? Or? No. I'm just curious.
I didn't do that research. Sorry, guys.
We'll edit
You'll
that
have to
out.
look it up on Google. But yeah, it was excellent. And Constantine in particular, the psychological development behind these characters were very good because he did all of this basically to save his sister, which I thought was that's a good motivator. At least they had, you know, most don't even bother with why is this character doing this.
Right.
So that was excellent. And almost all the reviews I read gave it 9 out of 10 or at least a 90 out of 100. So that was great.
Cool.
I was excited about that.
Awesome.
I read something about, it's called That Game, and it's a channel on YouTube, and it's called Reality Trolls on YouTube, and they're game creators, and they're creating a game based solely on YouTube comments. So whatever you comment in the YouTube channel will end up in the game. So if you want to have a hand in creating a game and in a collaborative effort, check out their channel on YouTube. It's just a very cool idea that I thought I'd plug because I haven't heard of anybody doing that before.
It's kind of like modern day Choose Your Own Adventure.
Yeah, I loved those books in middle school.
Somebody actually said the other day when I tried to reference it, that it was like, yeah, like I don't think some of these people like know that book series.
Are you kidding?
Yeah. So.
We're that old already? Really?
You are.
Really? Wait, you guys don't know Choose... Okay, if you know Choose Your Own Adventure, comment on it, because that's like an iconic part of childhood.
So the game that I'm going to talk to you guys about is No Man's Land for iOS that I've been playing on my iPhone 5. And I found out about this game when Robert Kirkman was at New York Comic Con this year, and he actually mentioned it. And he just mentioned it really quick. Typed it in my phone, figured I'd check it out later. And I'll tell you what, I've been playing that game usually when I leave work, usually when I wake up in the morning. You know, it's just a great game to just
It's not
like...
an obsession, per se.
No, you know, I mean, it's not so much of as it's not a
fascination.
crutch as much as something that I've come to help, you know, rely on to help me through life. That's not my line.
No, that's not. What is that from?
It's from King of the Hill. So No Man's Land for iOS on Apple. It is a really fun kind of a game if you like that sort of thing. Basically, it starts you out where Norman Reedus is kind of guiding you as a few survivors, and you build your camp, and you gather your survivors, and you gather some supplies, and each game is you going into a zombie environment with 3 people, and you usually have an objective, like you have to find supplies, or you have to do something, and there's strategy involved, you know. So on my team of survivors, I have 2 people who can shoot weapons, but every single time you shoot a weapon, what do you think happens? You're attracting zombies, okay?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not one of those shoot 'em up, kill all the zombies kind of game. It is a thinking person's game. You actually have to put thought into it. You have survivors that have different skill levels. You have survivors that have different types of weapons, different levels of protection.
Yeah.
So it's really neat. I would definitely encourage all of you to try it out. It is free.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's a free game.
He showed it to me recently, and it looks very impressive. Sort of like Farmville on Facebook. Do you ever beat this game?
I will eventually. I'm sure of it.
So a new segment for this week is the comic book segment. And I recently got back into comic books, so I've been trying out new ones, not the usual DC or Marvel kind of things. And one of the ones I picked up was Angela, Queen of Hell. It has fabulous artwork. It's got strong female characters, and when I say that, I mean actual strong female characters, not female characters that exist solely to fall in love with the main male character, because these two fall in love with each other, actually. It's about a Valkyrie who has to go and save her lover, her female lover, from hell, spelled H-E-L, so we're not talking Christian, we're talking Norse. So it's a great plot line. It's very like hip and sort of edgy. It references Beyonce while still being in an ancient sort of mythological arena. So yeah, it's a great unusual read if you're looking for something new. Not your typical superhero. Like, you see those everywhere, movies, TVs, like it's getting kind of
I,
old.
I think that's actually something. I mean, and I kind of have been out of comic books for a while. So like I used to collect them as a kid, and not like in a collector sense, but really because I wanted to read the stories. Just that was my
Right.
pure, and you can tell by the terrible condition of all those comic books that I wasn't doing it for
Collecting
purposes. But it is interesting. So I started reading a comic books, and generally how I choose comic books is whatever's in the for sale section of Midtown Comics.
So the ones nobody else wanted.
Yeah, well, I mean, they could be slightly damaged or whatever the case is. But one interesting one I picked up was Rising Stars, written by J. Michael Straczynski, who's a great writer. He's written Babylon 5. He's written for He-Man, Spider-Man, People Magazine, Time Magazine. I'm pretty sure he's written for a ton of stuff. But the superheroes there are also kind of like, in some ways, broken.
Oh, I like that. Yes.
And they're all kind of, and
Like
it's kind of
psychologically damaged.
yeah. There's something, there's a complexity to the character, and that's something that a lot of kind of comic books sometimes miss.
Yes.
Or don't spend a lot of time on. Is
They're dynamic.
Yeah, I
They're
mean,
not
if you really
one-dimensional.
spend all of those time like using, one dealing with like being excluded because you have some kind of superpower, like an X-Men, or
Yeah.
the psychological toll it takes, the sides
All
of
the
it.
pressure you have on you. Jeez.
So I think that's an interesting turn that comic books are taking, at least from my limited time of
No, I
getting
think
back
it's true.
into them. So
Also with the movies, I think they're going much more into the psychological manifestations that happen from being a superhero, and not just these one-dimensional. We are perfect. We are good.
Right.
They have flaws, which I enjoy that part of it.
So really quick, I'm going to recap for you some of the conventions that are happening December 4th through the 6th. Number 1, in New Jersey, in Secaucus, you have Walker Stalker Con, which is going to have literally dozens. Oh, I got to have the hat. It's going to have dozens of your favorite actors from the television show Walking Dead. You're going to have DerpyCon, which is also going to be in New Jersey, and that is going to have one of my favorite actors, Richard Hatch, from Battlestar Galactica, and he's also involved in the Axanar film. They will have a band. They will also have a costume contest. And finally, the one that we will be at, New York Wintercon, Nichelle Nichols will be there. And Michael Biehn from Terminator, amongst many other guests, and Empire Saber Guild as well. So check out our previous podcast. We had more information about it there, and that covers it for local conventions.
And then a quick little segment about Star Trek Las Vegas 2016, because we're both really excited for that.
50th anniversary, very
Yes.
excited.
So obviously tickets will be a little more expensive. Coppers are on sale for $500 a piece,
Just $500.
which is what the captain's chair was last year.
So I will say that I actually went to the captain's chair. I did the captain's chair package for the first 2 years that I went to Star Trek Vegas. Really good time. You get a VIP party. You get to go to a cool dinner. Some of the actors have bands that you get to hear perform. I got to hear Tim Russ's band. You get a
Nice.
seat.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, he had a pretty cool band. They play during the dessert party. You get a seat closer to the stage. But I will say that in the last 2 years, I've actually been going either general admission, Groupon, or going as press. And, I've kind of enjoyed that experience as well, where I'm just kind of left to my own devices to go to whatever, and I don't have to worry about going to something because I paid money for it to make sure I go, and then I end up like,
True. Much less obligation.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess I'll say that I also enjoyed going in kind of the general admission category because at this point, I really enjoy connecting with the friends, and
Yeah.
that becomes my priority. So I really don't sit in on as many panels. I like having a little bit more flexibility, but
Right.
So to each their own. Really, to each their own. So
Yeah,
do you
I
know
did
what?
general admission. That's all I've done for the 1 year I went. But it was great. I know it's crazy, but I don't go to any panels. All I do is just hang out with, the people who are there all day, and just hang with friends and wander around and get all the photo ops and all that stuff. Go shopping. They have a great, if you like shopping for sci-fi, Star Trek nerdy stuff, it is the mecca of shopping. So yeah, and then you get to go to the pool. You can hang out at the bars. You know, it's very fun. And you don't have to do the captain's chair copper stuff in order to have a good time.
And I think that question comes up all the time in the Facebook groups. People keep asking the question of, is it worth it to get the captain's chair, the gold package, or the copper package? And, you know, worth is relative.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you value having a seat closer to the front of the stage, if you want to go to, you know, the VIP dinner or the dessert party, you know, you can do that. But if you're kind of a casual con goer, like I think we kind of are, you know, it's just if you like going, hanging out, taking pictures in costume, vendor's room, and going out to the bars, you don't have to do the VIP
And
stuff,
the VIP seems more, well, it is more exclusive, but it's more limiting in the fact that you're going to be hanging out with the same people most of the time. But when you do general admission, you hang out with everybody all the time. So I like that about it.
Yeah, unlike Kira, I actually love everyone, and I know you guys love hanging out with
That
me,
is a
so not a
lie.
problem.
That's just a lie.
It's absolutely correct.
Special announcement, our next episode will be our holiday episode, and we're going to feature interviews with people about the new Star Wars movie that's coming out. So they'll be describing what they hope for, what they're looking forward to, what they expect, all that kind of stuff. So that'll be great. We'll be filming the interviews at Wintercon, so hope to see most of you there. But yeah, that'll be the next episode.
Yep. A quick shout out. One, we have to thank our friend Kara for lending us the studio time to be able to do this and provide the show for you. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kara.
We also have to thank Kelly, who actually gave us some great critiques to improve the show for you. And she watched the show in Maui. So we actually have viewership in Hawaii. So definitely thanks to Kelly for helping us make this show everything it can be.
Yes, thank you so much, Kelly. We really appreciate it. We really do.
And that ends our second episode of Continuity 360. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next episode, the Star Wars episode. Bye. Hey everyone, and welcome to Continuity 360. I'm Kira.
Let's do it again because I hit this book. So we're talking about my personality.
The actual one.
The terrible actor one.
And now it's time for hypothetical. Hypothetical. Sorry. The others like
You need
being
to
cannibals.
you need to work on your composure. Be our guest, be our guest,
my
put our
God.
magic to the test. You're standing just a little too close to me.
Game.
Moving on up. Okay, so I actually don't know what the hypothetical
you
question
do.
is, number 2.
Yeah, you do.
I do know what the hypothetical question number 2
And we
is.
had-
I found out that actually has to do with something with My Little Pony. Hey. And video games. And video games. Bleep, bloop, bleep, bloop. Spoiler alerts, okay? This podcast is going to be full of them. So if you look across this room and I see potential. Okay, so don't read comic books during the show.
Hold on.
We haven't even made it past one thing so far. We're cutting all of that out.
Yeah. So